Hi guys, welcome back to the channel. I hope you can hear me because I'm testing out this mic that I just got. So hopefully my name is Favor. For those who are new here, welcome, 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 welcome. I don't like the way that dustbin is showing. I don't know why this dustbin is showing in my video. I don't know why the trash bin is showing. So let's start all over again. Hi guys, welcome back to the channel. In today's video, I'm going to be doing a proper meal prep video for the week. And for those who are not Nigerians who watch me on my channel, you may not know some of the meals I'll be making today. For Nigerians, you would know. And for some Nigerians, you would look at the meals and say, why are you making it this way? But that is how I have chosen to make it. So it's possible that in the process of making this meal, some of my flatmates will come in and go. Please don't mind because we share the kitchen space together. Like this video. If you learn anything from it, please like the video, leave a comment, let me know if there's anything I'm doing that you think you shouldn't be doing this, or if there's anything you'd also like to know further. Please subscribe to the channel if you haven't. It takes a lot to create content, so please, the least you can do is subscribe, and don't just keep coming and going. Please subscribe to the channel.
In today's video, I'm going to be making egusi soup, ogbono soup. I'll be making chicken stew. I'll also be making stir fry with spaghetti. That's pasta. I've got my grapefruits to keep me happy as I go on. I'm using spinach in place of ugu or bitter leaf because I haven't gone to the African store yet. If I had gone, I would have used the appropriate ingredients. So please bear with me while I use spinach leaves in place of the actual ugu or bitter leaf or water leaf as people would prefer. I have some crayfish, dry fish. These are the things I was able to bring in with me into the UK when I moved in here last year. My sister was also able to bring some for me when she came in December. So these are the basic ingredients that I have that I didn't have to purchase here. I also have the diced beef, which I'll be using for the ogbono. The tomatoes, I'm using baby plum tomatoes and one big red bell pepper, also known as tatashe in Nigeria. I'm using mixed chilies. They say UK chilies are really spicy. I haven't really noticed it. All I know is most times when I use it with my tomatoes, it doesn't taste as bland or sour as tomatoes would taste. It also doesn't taste as spicy as a proper Nigerian stew would taste, but I make do with what I have. This is my first time using 5 red chilies, so I'm hoping it's also going to taste spicy this time around. This is the ogbono that I'll be using. This is the chicken. I'm using chicken wings and chicken drumsticks, so it's not too boring and I can always interchange in the course of the month. That's the biscuit I'll be using to keep myself happy, and that's just my flatmate's pot. Please ignore. So I start off with the chicken. I usually like to prep the chicken first because the chicken is going to go into the stew and it's going to take a while. These bowls are just containers I find really interesting, and I don't like the fact that I always have to dispose off of them after. I really wish there was some other use that I could use them for, so most times I just keep them because the African in me doesn't want to get rid of them completely. I use a kitchen scissors to open up all the items that I have. I totally recommend having the kitchen scissors. That's the chicken wings and the drumsticks. I also boil the water first. I wash the chicken pieces first. I like to cook with a lot of onions, so you're going to be seeing lots of onions. I use 2 large onions for the chicken. I don't have any particular size in mind, so I just dice them as I will, and then I proceed to add them straight into the pot of the chicken. I also add some other spices. I'm going to be working with thyme, I'm going to be working with curry powder, I'm going to be working with pepper. Interestingly, I got one Maggi here. It's called No Aromat, and it's really served me purpose, and I really love it. I also use pepper, so I'm using chili pepper, and I have to measure it because I'm in Nigeria and I really like spicy foods. So that's the hot water. I'm pouring it into the chicken, and then I add a little bit more to cook for a bit and go ahead to prep my tomatoes and pepper for the tomato puree. So I just wash that completely. I use 3 large onions and get my blender ready, and then I blend to my own taste and preference. So it really depends on your choice. Some people like it really smooth, some people don't. I just blend it to my own preference. The puree is ready and I just set it aside. Then we proceed to the ogbono. So I'm going to be using diced beef, dry fish, crayfish, and that's the ogbono itself, and the baby spinach leaves, which I'm using in place of ugu, bitter leaf, or water leaf as the case may be. That is what I can make do with here, so please bear with me once again. These are certainly not all the ingredients you can use. You can also use cow offals, but this is what I'm working with today. I'm also going to be using palm oil. Please ignore the ugly looking bottle that is going to be displayed on the screen any moment from now. So for the baby spinach leaves, I use hot water to make it a little bit more soft, so it gives that scrubbed leaf taste. For the ogbono, I tried to make it into a paste. The ogbono was ground with other ingredients, so it won't give a regular paste form, and I also don't like to have too much palm oil. I stir it for a bit, and this is what it looks like afterwards, and I'm really pleased with it. For the chicken, which is ready now, I grill it in the oven, which is healthy and saves groundnut oil. I lay my oven tray with some grease-proof paper. After pouring the chicken, I still like to add a little bit of pepper. Like I said, I'm Nigerian and I really like spicy food. I try to also trim off the edges of the paper that is coming off to prevent any issues of burning or suffocation. I usually set the oven to about 240 degrees with the upper and lower heat layer burning and the fan on, and I leave to grill for about 30 minutes. The ogbono, which is next, I used a little bit of onion. Some people don't like to put onions in it so they can get the proper stock, but I do. I add crayfish. Some people also prefer to cook the beef first before adding other ingredients, but I was really tired and I wanted to get it done with, so I added the crayfish, added the dry fish, and all the spices that I had earlier mentioned I was working with. I added some pepper as well. Then I added some boiled water and I left to cook. For the egusi now, I'm going to be using some crayfish. I'm going to be using some puree from what I blended earlier, the dry fish and the egusi itself. The egusi looks somewhat similar to the ogbono, but it's not the exact same thing. If you look at it closely, it's not really the same thing. I'll be using 1 onion and the baby spinach as well in place of ugu, bitter leaf or water leaf, as I explained earlier, using the same approach, and the palm oil. Chicken is almost ready now and it's time to get it out of the oven. For the egusi, I use a method my mom taught me. So you add a little bit of water, add some onion, and then you mix it into a paste. This gives you a proper paste. The chicken is ready now and I proceed to making the egusi. For the egusi, I start off with frying some onions in the palm oil. Then I add the pepper puree, I add some crayfish, and I also add the dry fish as well. I stir together and then I add all my spices, which I mentioned earlier. After this, I leave to just cook and simmer for a bit while I check up on the ogbono. I add some stock water as well. That is not a necessary ingredient, but you can choose to if you want to. The stock for the ogbono is ready now because the meat is soft and the taste is great. Ensure to add in the mixed ogbono paste while the heat is high and the water is boiling hard. It gradually starts to thicken and I reduce the heat to cook for a while. I heard the longer it stays, the sweeter it gets. I then leave it to cook for a bit. For the egusi, which has cooked for a while, about 10 to 15 minutes, the water does not have to completely dry. I add in the egusi paste. I add it in bits so it maintains form and does not break into crumbs. Also, avoid stirring at this stage until it cooks for a while. It is usually advised the ogbono cooks for about 10 to 15 minutes on low heat so it comes off nicer, after which you can add your ugu leaves, which in my case is the spinach leaves. I'm sorry if using my hand irks you. I have sped it up but you get the point. I usually leave it to simmer for about 5 minutes before putting it off completely. I check on the egusi to see if it's completely cooked. It's not fully cooked, evinced by the white paste still showing, so I use a tablespoon to gently flip it over so it maintains form. Now that it's fully cooked, I add the spinach leaves in a similar fashion like I did for the ogbono and carefully stir because I personally don't like when my egusi breaks into tiny crumbs. It takes great skill and patience, but I do it. I then leave it to cook for about 5 minutes or thereabouts. Then to the final meal of the day, my stir fry and my chicken stew. I'm going to be using 2 large onions. So I was completely exhausted, so I'm just going to be rushing through the prep. So for the chicken stew, I start off with frying my onions with some spices, and then I add the puree and leave to cook for a bit until the water dries up completely. Then to the stir fry, I add some oil, vegetable oil, and then I add some onion, add in the spices as well. As you can see, the spaghetti or the pasta is cooking on the side. I fry all of these together as well as the ingredients, and I also add the pasta. I couldn't even show you to tell you how exhausted I was. The stew is ready now.
Guys, I'm so proud of myself. So I was able to make stir fry. Unfortunately, I couldn't show you people how that was made, but I did make stir fry. I got some extra chicken pieces left for whenever I intend to cook again. Got my egusi, my ogbono, 2 bowls of egusi. You guys, this is not just 2 bowls. This is like 3 bowls, 3 meals rather. I got ogbono and then I got my lovely looking stew. Yes, and this would serve me literally for a month because each of these bowls is like 2 whole days meal. And yes, with this we've come to the very end of today's video. You guys, interestingly, I'm not even going to eat any of the things I made. I'm eating this leftover beans that I had in the freezer because I don't feel like eating any of the things I just cooked. Basically one of the disadvantages of cooking in bulk, because you'll be so tired, you won't even feel like eating any of the things that you have made. But yes, regardless, this is a whole month's meal. Let me know if you enjoyed this video. Let me know if you learned anything new about cooking. Let me know if there's anything you're going to try there. Just let me know in the comment section, and like this video, leave a comment, subscribe to the channel if you haven't, because imagine you watched up to this moment and you still didn't subscribe. And I'll definitely see you in the next one. Bye for now.